What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Tri-Brigade deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that summons out some of the coolest Link monsters in the entire game, like Shirog the Ominous Omens, which is just such an awesome boss monster. This deck is an extremely consistent deck that I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in it for you guys, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Fractal. This card is definitely a 3 of the deck. This card is actually the best starter in the deck outside your copy of Rescue Cat, because it has the ability you can send from your hand or field to the graveyard this card to be able to send a level 3 or lower Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from your deck to the grave, which is a really good effect to instantly get your copy of Kit and then follow it up with your copy of Nearvault and then search out a copy of your Karass, which is just such a good effect to be able to do in this particular deck to be able to just extend your plays. And all of your Tri-Brigade monsters actually share a common effect that you can banish any number of Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monsters in your graveyard to be able to special summon a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast Link monster from your X deck with a Link rating equal to the number of cards that you banished for that effect. Also, you can only use Beast, Beast Warrior, Winged Beast monsters as Link material for the rest of the turn, which is not that big of a deal because that's pretty much all we're playing anyways. So this card is definitely a 3 of in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Kit. Tri-Brigade Kit is definitely a 3 of in the deck because this card has the ability, as soon as it touches the graveyard, you can send an additional Tri-Brigade card from your deck to the grave, which is always going to be your copies of your Nearvault that you're actually going to be sending off this card's effect. We then play 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Nearvault. Nearvault is amazing in this particular build as a 3 of because it has the ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Tri-Brigade monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a really good effect to instantly get to your copy of your Tri-Brigade Karass. We then play 2 copies of Karass. Karass is amazing in this deck as a 2-0, but you only really need 2 copies of this card because it has the ability you can discard one other Beast, Beast Warrior, Winged Beast monster to special summon this card from your hand, which is a great effect to not even waste your normal summon to get this card on the field. We then play a single copy of the Fabled Cerberil. Cerberil is great as a 1 of in the deck because this card has a really good ability. And if this card is discarded to the graveyard, you can actually special summon this card to your side of the field, which is a great effect combo with your copy of Karass, and it also works extremely well because you can use both of these monsters on your side of the field to make a copy of Herald of the Arclight, which is a really good card to be able to make in this deck to have as a walking negate. We then play 3 copies of Rescue Cat. Rescue Cat is amazing as a normal summon in the deck, and outside of your copy of your Fractal, this is one of the best starters in the entire deck. As you can send this card to the graveyard to special summon 2 level 3 or lower beast monsters from your deck, but their effects are negated. Also, they are destroyed during the end phase, but it gets you 2 monsters on your side of the field so you can start link climbing and going through your combos. So this card is definitely a 3 of in the deck. We then play a single copy of DD Crow. DD Crow is the first hand trap we're playing in the deck, but this card is searchable in the deck, which is why we're playing this card just as a 1 of, and it's a really good card in the deck to be able to get rid of cards out of our opponent's grave. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is an amazing hand trap to just stop the opponent from touching the deck, and it's an awesome hand trap this format. We then play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is definitely a 3 of the deck. The only thing that makes this card better is if it was a winged beast, but this card is really good in the deck at stopping your opponent from touching the deck for the rest of the turn, and it's definitely a 3 of in the deck because we have so much room for hand traps in this build. We then play just 2 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru is really good in this deck as well to be able to just drop a Nibiru against the opponent when they overextend, and it's a great hand trap in this build. We then play just a single copy of Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell is amazing to stop your opponent from touching the graveyard and is a crossout designator target in this deck. We then play a single copy of Effect Veiler. We do play Impermanence in the deck as well, so we're basically just playing this card as a crossout designator target, so it's a really good 1 of in the deck. So that's going to do it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is definitely a one-of in the deck just to stop your opponent from hand-trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. This card is a great one-of in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator is amazing in the deck because we have so much room for hand traps in this particular build. We're playing about a dozen hand traps in this deck, and this card can pretty much stop any hand trap that your opponent throws at you, which is just really, really good. So this card is definitely a 3 of in the deck just to stop the opponent from hand trapping you and get cards out of our deck. We then play 2 copies of Tri-Brigade Roar. Roar is amazing, but you only really need 2 copies of the card in the deck because you don't want to brick with it because it is a once per turn. And if you control a link monster, you can send a Tri-Brigade card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard and then target an effect monster on the field and apply the following effect based on the type of card you sent to the graveyard to activate this card. If you send a monster, you change the targeted monster's attack to 0 until the end of the turn. If you send a spell, you negate that monster's effect until the end of the turn, and if you send a trap, return that monster back to the hand, which is a really good effect because we play all of those in the deck, so you can get the exact effect that you need. For the trap, you can send a copy of your Revolt because we play 2 Revolts in the deck. If you send a spell, you can send Roar, which so you can send the extra copy of Roar to the graveyard, which is really good to deck them, and you can also send a monster which will not only drop a monster's attack to 0, but also set up your plays, which is even better. So this card is really good in the deck as a 2 of. We then play 3 copies of Tinky. Tinky is amazing to search out our copy of Frogtall and is really good in the deck as a 3-0 because it also gives our Beast Warrior monsters an additional boost of 100 attack points, which can come in handy in this deck, but it's really good to be able to search out our copy of Frogtall directly from our deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Revolt. Revolt is basically like a soul charge for the deck, which is amazing. It is searchable, which is just super cool about this card, that it lets you special summon a number of Beast Warrior and or Winged Beast monsters that are banished or in your graveyard, but negate their effects. Then immediately as the deck resolves, you get to link summon a Tri-Brigade Link monster using only those monsters, which is amazing to be able to do during your opponent's turn, because you can summon out something like a copy of your Shirog, which is super cool, which is just such a cool thing to be able to do with this card, because your copy of Shirog will then banish a card, which is just really amazing. This card is definitely a 2 of in this particular build, especially since we're playing Roar in this deck, and it's just such a powerful card. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is really good at stopping your opponent's monster effects and also locking down entire columns of spells and traps with this particular hand trap, and you can also stop it with a copy of Crossout Designator if your opponent drops it against you. So this card is just really good in this build to be able to just use as a hand trap or as a Crossout Designator target. So that's going to do it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Shirog. I think 3 has always just been about the perfect number for this card. This card is super easy to summon to your side of the field with any of your Tri-Brigade monsters effects or even a copy of Revolt. This card is really an amazing card because if this card is special summoned or if another Beast Warrior or Winged Beast monster is special summoned to your side of the field, then you can banish 1 card on the field and it doesn't even target, which is just super cool. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Beast Warrior or Winged Beast monster from your deck to your hand whose level is less than or equal to the number of your banished Beast Warrior Winged Beast monsters, which is just such a cool effect to be able to use with this card, especially since it can search out cards like DD Crow or even another copy of Frogtall directly from your deck to your hand off this card's effect. We then play a single copy of Rugal. Rugal's just a really good one in the deck. You rarely make it, but it's really good in this particular deck for certain situations. We then play a single copy of Bearbrum. Bearbrum is amazing because it can search out your copy of Revolt, which is the main reason we use this card, but it's super good because you discard 2 cards, target one of your banished level 4 or lower Beast Warrior Winged Beast monsters, and special summon it. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Tri-Brigade spell trap from your deck to your hand, then place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Tri-Brigade monsters, which is a little bit of a downside and one of the only restrictions you really have to watch out for in this deck. That you got to make sure that you're going in for your final play when you search out that copy of Revolt, and basically just set your copy of Revolt to set up for the opponent's turn so you can summon out a copy of Shirog. We then play 2 copies of Barren Blossom. Barren Blossom's really good as a 2 in the deck, as this card is just a great extender that during your main phase, you can special summon a level 4 lower Beast Warrior Wing Beast monster from your hand. Also, you cannot use link materials for the rest of the turn, except for Beast Warrior Wing Beast monsters. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can draw a card and then place a card in your hand on the bottom of your deck, which is going to help you get some of your bricks out of your hand or extra copies of cards that you don't need, which is just really good. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code is just really great in this particular build because we play so many different attributes in the extract to be able to banish and pop on the field, and this card is a game ender. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is great to be able to put on your side of the field because it's going to give you multiple negates on the field. This card is actually really easy to establish. We then play a really spicy tech card in this deck that I absolutely love. It's going to be a single copy of the Scareclaw Tryhard. This card is basically a Link 3 Bagooska because it has the ability, it must be Link Summon, and all face-up monsters on the field are changed to defense position, which none of our Link monsters can be changed to defense position. So if our opponent's not playing Link, their monsters are going into defense, which is super cool. And it's unaffected by the activated effects of defense position monsters, and which is just such a good effect to be able to use with this card. And it's just such a powerful card to be able to make in the deck because it's basically the Link equivalent of Bagooska. We then play a single copy of Donner. This card can pop a card on the field, which is really good in this particular deck, that you can target a monster for hire that you control and a monster that your opponent controls and destroy them both, which is the main effect that we're going to be using on this card. Plus, it's a Beast Warrior, so you can make it extremely easy in the deck, and also use it with any of your Tri-Brigade cards to be able to banish it from the graveyard to make a different Link monster, which is really nice. Play a single copy of Double Dragon Lords. Double Dragon Lords is pretty much a staple in any Tri-Brigade deck, because this card has a great ability that it has the effect that effect, you can send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard, target a face a card your opponent controls, and bounce it back to the hand. You don't have to use a Wind attribute Ancient Warrior monster when you're actually using a Tri-Brigade monster's effect to make this card, because you're actually special summoning it improperly off the effect of one of your Tri-Brigade monsters. And it just says special summon a Beast Warrior or Wing Beast monster, and this is a Beast Warrior Wing Beast monster that's a Link monster by banishing those materials, which this card is, so it's very easy to put on your side of the field as a bounce. We then play a single copy of the Scareclaw Lightheart. This card is great because it is a Link 1 that you can link away a copy of a Scareclaw monster, or you can use the effect of one of your Tri-Brigade monsters to put this card on your side of the field, which is a really good effect, which is just absolutely amazing to be able to do, and it's a definite one-up in this particular build. We're then playing a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is amazing just in case you have a copy of like Nirval in the hand or a copy of Kit in the hand that you want to normal summon to your side of the field and then link it away because it was normal summoned to the field. You can just put out a copy of Alamirage. It is a Cyverse monster, so you got to watch out for that a little bit, but it's really good in this deck because you do have some normal summons in the deck that you're want to get rid of. If you don't open a copy of Frogtall, a copy of Tinky, or Rescue Cat, this is your answer if you open up Kit or Nirval, which is just really nice because it's going to get you a search or a Nirval in the graveyard so you can get a search, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Herald of Arclight. Herald of Arclight is amazing because you can make it with Cerberald and a copy of Karass extremely easily, and off of a Rescue Cat, you can essentially make this card, which is really nice to be able to do, and it's just absolutely amazing the amount of plays that you can do with this card, because any monster sent from the hand or the main deck to the graveyard is banished instead, and also it's a walk in negate by tributing itself, which is really cool. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Tri-Brigade deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, because it's very budget to be able to pick up Tri-Brigade, which is really, really nice. You can basically play any hand traps that you want in this particular deck, because there's so much room to be able to play, and it's really, really fun. I absolutely love this deck, and it's actually one of my favorite decks to be able to play. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come for notifications, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.